Hey everyone, Nigel and Luke here, and welcome to Crime Zone.
Representatives from the Cobb County Police Department are praising the heroic actions of one of their own officers this week after he recently saved a woman from a burning vehicle following a dramatic high-speed pursuit. According to reports, the whole thing unfolded sometime on the night of October 13th when Cobb County officer Clay Musselman spotted the female suspect driving dangerously on the east-west connector. He attempted to conduct a traffic stop, however, she refused to pull over, prompting a chase. Musselman eventually abandoned the pursuit after it was deemed to be too dangerous, as the female driver was traveling at speeds over 100 miles an hour. However, a short time after pulling back, Musselman realized that things had taken a potentially deadly turn for the suspect. After failing to properly take a corner, she had crashed and her vehicle was now engulfed in flames. Disregarding his own safety, Musselman ran up to the crash site, where the driver was now trapped and screaming for help. The officer managed to pull her from the wreckage after smashing the driver's side window. The woman suffered several broken bones as a result of the incident, though thanks to Musselman's actions, she ultimately survived. Many people are now praising the officer for his bravery, including the female suspect involved in the situation. She said that she was not in the right mental state before the crash and thanked Musselman for giving her a second chance at life. At the time of this recording, the woman has not been identified by name, though it's said she is facing charges for reckless driving.
Representatives from Michigan's Warren Police Department say that a man is in custody this week following a bizarre and dangerous road rage incident in which he allegedly shot at another driver with a BB gun and attempted to impersonate an FBI agent. According to reports, the incident began at around 10:20 a.m. on November 15th, when Warren police received a 911 call from a motorist near Mound Road and Arden Avenue. The man said that he had attempted to pass another driver in a white Toyota SUV when the driver began firing at his car with what appeared to be a handgun. The driver then pulled up and proceeded to flash some kind of gold law enforcement badge before taking off. When officers arrived in the area, they were able to locate the white Toyota at a car wash not too far away. While searching his vehicle, they realized that his weapon was actually a BB gun, though quickly discovered it wasn't the only thing that wasn't what it appeared to be. The man's law enforcement badge turned out to be a comically fake FBI badge, one that hilariously identified him as Special Agent Robert Plant. I mean, who was his partner? Special Agent Jimmy Page? Let's not forget ASAC John Bonham and Deputy Director John Paul Jones while we're at it. Anyway, at the time of this recording, the suspect's name has not been released, and he has only been identified as a 55-year-old man. He is yet to be formally charged, though authorities say that they are considering a number of charges, including assault with a dangerous weapon.
Authorities in the city of Laguna Beach, California say that a man is facing murder charges this week after he was accused of viciously killing a young restaurant manager just steps from her workplace. According to reports, the incident began at around 8:20 a.m. on November 12th when a construction worker alerted police to a horrifying discovery. After showing up at his job site on the 200 block of Ocean Avenue, he found a young woman's lifeless body located in the secluded alleyway between the construction area and surrounding buildings. She had been badly beaten and her head had been covered with a sandbag. Police soon learned that the victim was 27-year-old Tatum Lee Goodwin. Disturbingly, the place her body was found was just steps from Carmelita's restaurant, where she worked as a popular assistant manager. Co-workers of Tatum said that she had gone out to a local bar she frequented after work the previous evening. She left that bar at around 1 a.m., just a few hours before she was found dead. Following several days of investigation, authorities announced that they had arrested a local bartender, 26-year-old Dino Rojas Moreno, in connection with Tatum's murder. It's now alleged that Rojas Moreno followed Tatum to her vehicle after she left the bar on the morning of November 12th and dragged her to where her body was later found. There, it's believed that he had brutally attacked her with a fire extinguisher. Police say that Rojas Moreno failed to show up for work following the killing, claiming that he had been jumped by several people in Santa Ana. The 26-year-old is now facing charges including murder, one felony enhancement of special circumstances of committing the murder in the commission of kidnapping, and 1 felony enhancement for the personal use of a weapon. Currently, no motive has been released behind the crime, and it's not clear whether Tatum and Rojas Moreno knew each other prior to the killing.
Officials in Florida released a tragic update in the disappearance of a Seminole County woman this week, announcing that after several days they had located her remains under disturbing circumstances inside of a storage unit. The case began late on November 11th when 37-year-old Shakira Rucker was reported missing by concerned family members. She had last been seen at around 7:30 p.m. that night when she left her home in the city of Winter Springs. However, no one had been able to reach her since then. After beginning an investigation, police learned that Shakira had been with her estranged husband, 51-year-old Corey Hill, at the time she left her house. The two were also captured on surveillance camera footage together that night at a restaurant about 70 miles away in Polk County. A week later, on November 18th, authorities were called to a self-storage location in Orange County after a person there complained about a foul odor coming from one of the units. Sadly, when police opened it up, they found Shakira's body inside. She reportedly died from gunshot wounds. It said that the storage unit belonged to Corey Hill. Though Hill has now been identified as the prime suspect in Shakira's murder, at the time of this recording he has yet to be formally charged. Police say that he is already in custody, however, due to another terrifying incident he was accused of committing just the day after Shakira's disappearance. According to reports, on November 12th, Hill showed up at an ex-girlfriend's place in the city of Kissimmee. After getting out of his vehicle, he allegedly pulled out a gun and began firing at the woman, her cousin, and her 2 children, all of whom were standing outside at the time. The victims fled into the house, narrowly avoiding the gunfire, where it's alleged that the attack continued. After shattering a kitchen window, Hill reportedly screamed his ex's name, came inside, and broke down a bedroom door. Once there, he reportedly threatened the victims before ultimately being arrested and charged with 4 counts of first-degree attempted murder. Prior to all of this, Hill was apparently no stranger to police. He was previously sentenced to 20 years in prison after killing a teenager back in 1992 whom he believed had stolen his truck. Currently, Hill remains in custody and is expected to face charges soon in connection with Shakira's murder.
Authorities in Polk County, Florida say that a serial car burglary suspect is facing a laundry list of new charges this week after he panicked and tried to escape from police, but ended up causing a serious car wreck instead. According to reports, the whole thing started just before 3:30 a.m. on November 13th when officers with the Polk County Sheriff's Office were called to the neighborhood of Preservation Point, located near the city of Davenport. Witnesses told police that they had seen a man and a woman trying to break into several parked cars there. When officers arrived in the area, they quickly spotted the suspects in question, later identified as 37-year-old Timothy Hogue and 31-year-old Rebecca Cobb. Police attempted to conduct a traffic stop on the white 2006 Cadillac CTS they were traveling in. However, instead of stopping, the pair drove further away into the neighborhood. Knowing that there was only one way in or out of the subdivision, officers did not chase the suspects, who were now speeding up and down the residential roads looking for an escape route. They did not find one. Instead, Hogue ended up slamming into a parked car while trying to get around a police vehicle that was blocking part of the road. Following the dramatic crash, which was partially captured on video, he and Cobb were pulled from the car and taken to be treated for a number of injuries. Perhaps fittingly, it was later discovered that Hogue has a tattoo on his neck that says, quote, "All gas, no brakes." At the time of this recording, Hogue has been released from the hospital and is now facing charges including burglary of an unoccupied conveyance, felony petty theft, fleeing to elude, conspiracy to commit burglary, possession of methamphetamine, possession of marijuana, possession of drug paraphernalia, and resisting without violence. Charges against Cobb are still pending, as she is still being treated for injuries sustained in the crash. Following his arrest, Hogue reportedly blamed everything on Cobb, saying that the burglaries were her idea. He said he tried to flee the scene because he, quote, "just freaked out." Apparently, both of the suspects have extensive criminal histories. Hogue has a rap sheet of 31 felonies and 18 misdemeanors, while Cobb has 19 felonies and 20 misdemeanors.
Authorities in Wisconsin say that a dramatic car chase came to a smelly end for one of 4 suspects this week after they attempted to flee the scene of a crash, only to find themselves thwarted by a couple of quick-thinking golfers. According to reports, the whole thing started at around 11:40 a.m. on November 15th, when police in the city of Glendale spotted a Dodge Durango that had allegedly been stolen in Plymouth, Minnesota. The vehicle was traveling on the 5400 block of Port Washington Road and was seen driving recklessly by officers who initiated a chase. When police deployed stop sticks to try and disable the Durango, the driver reportedly swerved into oncoming traffic, causing a crash with 2 other cars. Moments later, all 4 occupants of the stolen vehicle got out and took off running. While a couple of the suspects managed to get away, one of them was quickly caught. Another would soon be arrested, though not before making what would turn out to be quite a stomach-churning mistake. According to witnesses, one of the men ran onto the grounds of the nearby Lincoln Park golf course, where he attempted to hide inside a porta-potty on one of the fairways. Unfortunately for the suspect, he was spotted by a couple of golfers who realized what was going on and decided to lend a hand to police. Literally. To be more specific, they pushed over the porta-potty, causing it to fall on its side and giving officers enough time to catch up and apprehend the suspect. From the sounds of it, things were not pretty for the man after being toppled over. In an interview, one of the golfers involved said, quote, "It was really smelly, and he could hear the sloshing, so I can just imagine the stench." At the time of this recording, none of the suspects had been identified, and no formal charges had been announced. It also appears police are still searching for 2 of the suspects who managed to escape.
Authorities in Memphis, Tennessee say that 5 people are dead this week, including the gunman, after a man allegedly attacked several family members in 3 different shootings across the city. The disturbing incident began shortly after 5:30 p.m. on November 18th, when police received reports of gunfire near the 3600 block of Field Lark Drive. They arrived to find 3 female victims, identified only as an adult woman and 2 teenagers, aged 15 and 13. All 3 victims were rushed to the hospital. However, sadly, both the woman and the 13-year-old succumbed to their injuries. The next incident was reported just after 6:30 p.m. when a woman was shot on the 5000 block of Warrington Drive. Tragically, she died of her injuries as well. 3 hours later, at 9:22 p.m., authorities received a call about the final fatal shooting on Howard Drive. Once again, the victim was an adult woman. It was at this scene that police determined that all of the crimes were connected, when they realized that the suspect was driving the same white 2017 Chevy Malibu and that all the victims were members of the same family. The suspect was also related to the victims and was identified as 52-year-old Mavis Christian Jr. Alerts were put out to the public advising them to stay inside, while a multi-agency manhunt for Christian was launched. The manhunt came to an end at around 3:30 a.m. the following morning, when he was found deceased inside of the white vehicle that had been connected to the shootings. The 52-year-old reportedly died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. At the time of this recording, few additional details have been released about the awful tragedy, though it's believed that the motivation for the killings was domestic in nature. None of the names of the victims have been released so far, and police say the sole 15-year-old survivor of the attacks remains in critical condition. The situation is still developing.
If you're a regular viewer of our Crimes of the Week series, then you might remember that last week we brought you a disturbing story out of Los Angeles. It was here that representatives from the LAPD announced that they had arrested the son of a Hollywood power couple after human remains suspected to be those of his missing wife were found in a local dumpster. The whole thing began on November 8th when police were called to the parking lot of a business in the city's Encino neighborhood. They were directed to the dumpster by a homeless man who had been looking through the bin when he stumbled across a duffel bag. It was stuffed with garbage bags that were concealing a human torso. After launching an investigation, authorities linked the case to 35-year-old Samuel Haskell III, the son of a well-known Hollywood producer and a former beauty queen. The remains were said to be those of Haskell's wife, 37-year-old May Haskell. prior to the gruesome discovery, May had been reported missing, along with her elderly parents, 72-year-old Gao Shan Li and 64-year-old Yan Xiang Wang. All of them lived together at Samuel and May's residence in LA's Tarzana neighborhood, along with the couple's 3 children. If you'll recall, the home was searched following the disturbing discovery, where detectives allegedly found more evidence that a violent crime had been committed. This was in conjunction with accusations made by a group of men who said that they had been hired as day laborers by Samuel Haskell to move several plastic trash bags. It's now believed those bags contained more remains. However, Haskell allegedly moved them himself before police initially investigated. While Haskell was in custody at the time of our last report, it was only this week that charges were announced in the case. The 35-year-old is now facing 3 counts of murder in connection with the alleged killings of his wife and both of her parents. In addition to this, more information has emerged about Haskell's allegedly precarious mental state in the lead-up to the crime. Several videos he posted to social media appear to show him ranting and behaving strangely, and one person who knew him well has since come forward to describe an odd encounter she had with him several weeks earlier. In an interview with local media, the woman said she ran into Haskell, who she has known since she was 13, at a diner while he was with his kids. When she went to give him a hug, he reportedly backed away. She claimed that he appeared fearful and paranoid, waving her off as if he was trying to prevent her from getting close to his children. At the time of this recording, the investigation into the case continues. Police say that they are still searching for Haskell's in-laws, who are officially considered missing despite the murder charges. Before we wrap up, we'd like to take a second to give a huge shout out to everyone who has made it this far into the video. Seriously, thank you so much for watching. If you found today's upload interesting and informative, we'd be honored if you'd consider liking and subscribing, as well as hitting the notification bell and selecting all notifications to stay up to date with our latest releases. If you're looking for additional ways to help support the channel, we'd love to have you join us over on Patreon. Patrons get ad-free and early access to all of our content, as well as 4 additional stories per week for each of our Crimes of the Week and Crimes of the Week International videos. You can learn more at patreon.com/crimezone, where you'll also find some of the fine folks whose names are currently on screen. All that being said, we understand that not everyone has the means to support financially, and that's totally okay. We appreciate every like, sub, share, and comment that you send our way. Once again, thanks so much everyone, and take care.